welcome to It Happened in Grand Prairie, Texas. And we are just so pleased to have you in our viewing audience for bringing you the history of our city, some of the people that made history in the past, and some that are making real great history this very day. And this is our history tape number 635, and we are excited today. We have back for the third time, but this is a third anniversary of the presentation of Dr. Susan Simpson, the superintendent of schools in Grand Prairie, Texas. Welcome to the set, my dear.
Thand you, Miss Ruthie.
We're so glad to have you with us.
I'm very happy to be here.
3 down and 14 to go.
This is the
At least.
third year I'll start school here, yes.
Isn't that good?
It's great. I love it.
And 3 years ago when we brought you on board, you were excited about schools and Grand Prairie ISD. And you know, you're still excited.
I'm still excited.
Isn't that wonderful?
It's wonderful.
Well, before we get into the nitty-gritty and down to basics with the state of the schools, this is your report. I'd like to know a little bit about the family. You have such a darling family. Several have been with us on television. The others escape us because they're into other things.
Right.
Tell us, bring us up to date.
They're good. Erin, my oldest one,
Yeah.
is my 23-year-old. She will start her second year as a teacher and a coach at Sam Houston Middle School in Irving ISD. She teaches middle school science, and she is hooked on it. She's
And loves
hooked on
it.
teaching. Loves it.
Okay.
She's an Aggie,
Uh-huh.
and she has just had a great year, and can't wait to get back.
All right.
And Lacey,
Oh, Miss
who
Lacey.
loved being on the show, will start her senior year at A&M. She's an economics major.
That's unusual, isn't it? Economics.
Economics. Well, she plans to go to law school. And in fact, she registered for the LSAT this morning. But she is working this summer at the Uptown Theater. And she loves it. And
Oh, how
she would
wonderful.
love to give anyone a tour. She's very proud of her job
The Uptown.
and being at the Uptown. She's quite a salesperson.
Okay. I ought to be able to get to see her when I go to see Chicago to take Mr. Jackson for his 88th birthday on the 13th of August.
I'll bet so.
Oh,
And
yes.
she loves
I'll look for her.
Chicago. And
I'll look for her.
And Rent was just there, and she's loving that job.
Yeah.
And Seth,
Yeah.
who graduated this year with a lot of support and help from a lot of people
From South.
from South Grand Prairie High School, will leave next Wednesday and move into his dorm at Cisco Junior College.
Cisco Junior.
He's got a baseball scholarship there, and he's really, really excited about it.
And that helps the pocketbook.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
absolutely. It's great.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And you're going to miss him.
I'll miss him.
You really will.
I think I'll miss him about October.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Between now and October, you're up to
We're
your
gonna-
ears and
yeah,
alligators, aren't
Yeah,
you?
we'll have a little break.
Yes, that is
But,
good.
yeah, I'll look forward to going to Cisco and watching some baseball games.
Well, we like to know about the family because we do a prayer thing for people with 3 children that are busy, and especially a superintendent of a school district that is called THEE School District of the state of Texas. Yes.
I appreciate that.
All right.
Yeah,
What's happening with the Grand Prairie ISD?
Oh, we are rocking and rolling at Grand Prairie ISD. As you know, Biscay High School is opening. Biscay Career High School will open this year, and that staff came on board on Monday. So they've been, actually I think some of them started on Friday, and they've had several activities and presentations. The architects spoke to the staff and gave them a really good explanation of why the building is designed the way it is and how every piece of that building has some purpose. It's either environmental, energy saving, or related directly to education. And I was really, really pleased at the response of the staff, some of the teachers. For example, one of the math teachers asked if he could see or have access to the plans of the building because he would like to use some of that in his lessons.
Lessons.
one of the English teachers said some similar things, that she had some really good ideas about how to incorporate the purpose of the building and the educational specifications into her lessons, which makes perfect sense because the high school is a career high school. Of course, it's a very technologically advanced school. There are no copy machines at Biscay Career High School.
Oh.
For the most part, it will be a paperless school. All the students and the teachers will have laptops, and our expectation is that the technology is invisible, that it isn't a side piece of education. It isn't something that teachers say, okay, now pull out your laptops and now we'll do technology, but their learning will be incorporated through the technology. The assignments will go to the teachers online or through the network system, and we're going to try really hard to not get bogged down in a lot of paper. And
does that mean electronic books and etc.? Oh my!
And the first 2 days of school for the students will not be regular school days. And if you'll remember, when I went to school and when you went to school, it was all the same. In fact, I told the staff a few days ago, 2 days ago, I said, you know, if you brought back a World War II pilot who hadn't survived the war, but you brought him back and you took him out to Lockheed or to Vought and you put him in the cockpit of an airplane, he wouldn't know what to do.
No, he would not.
It would be a totally foreign experience. If you took some of those guys that drilled oil wells in East Texas in the 30s and put them on the rigs that we're using now, they wouldn't know what to do. But if you brought somebody back from the 1900s and walked them into most classrooms, they would say, oh sure, this is a school, I remember this. Because schools haven't changed very much.
Yeah.
But I think if you take them into some of our classrooms district-wide, but especially Biscay, they would not recognize it as a school. So the first 2 days of school for the students at Biscay will not be typical days where they're issued textbooks and they learn their schedules and their locker combinations. They will have a technology conference. And it will be set up as a conference, just like a conference that you or I would go to in another city. Mm-hmm. And they'll learn to use their technology and all the different pieces and the different ways that they'll be communicating with each other and doing their assignments. So
that was one of the most exciting things that you had last year. Just even thinking about what it's going to be like to build this. How on earth did you get it built in almost a year?
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. We have had a great team of people working on this building. Our architects, Corrigan and Associates, are very, very creative and extremely responsive. Mm-hmm. And we spent a lot of time with the end users of the building. Mm-hmm. Jim Ziegler, our Career Tech Education Director, had weekly input. Vicki Villarreal, the principal, after we finally named the principal, has had much input. The teachers and the staff who were chosen, librarians. Belinda Jacks, our media director at the district level, has had a lot of involvement, and I've been fairly involved in it.
Yes, you have.
And then our builders, Lincoln Builders, and they're very high quality, very, very responsive to us. And of course, Tony Inman with Jones Lang LaSalle managed the project, but everyone involved, the job superintendents, the subcontractors, our general contractor, our architects, our engineers, and also our counterparts with the city of Grand Prairie, who are responsible for inspections and issuing permits. The whole team just worked together, and there was we were able to avoid any adversarial situations by having working as a team.
That's wonderful.
And so it came together, and there's a lot of pride in the building, and a lot of attachment to it from the people who worked on it. And so
now you have about 5 groups of different entities, then the engineering, the different parts that you have. How are you coming along with making all of those viable?
the 5 different
Yes.
schools within the school.
School within the school.
Very well. A lot of the teachers have come from our other 2 high schools.
Good.
Especially our career tech teachers. And then we have a lot of new teachers as well. And one of the things that we made an early and deliberate decision about was that we would not separate spaces based upon the particular focus of the career tech.
Good.
That we would have our comprehensive high school and our core courses in classrooms alongside our career tech courses. So we don't have an English wing and a history wing and a auto tech wing. There's a lot of integration, and this is a concept that a lot of very successful businesses have adopted. And the idea is that you don't create in a vacuum. You create when you work together, when you bounce ideas off of each other, and we actually have spaces in the school with big whiteboards on the walls, so that a physics teacher might have a class out solving a problem, and then maybe a logistics teacher comes by and enters into the discussion to add some relevance. Because one thing we know, Ms. Ruthie, is that we know everything we need to know to make kids successful. And we know that in public schools, they have to have a rigorous curriculum.
Yes.
And what they learn has to be relevant to life.
Yes.
They can't learn in a vacuum. And in order to learn and want to succeed, they have to have appropriate, viable relationships with adults. And so not just at Biscay, but all of our schools are focused on that.
Of the 5 schools that you have, which are the 2 most important and the first ones to be filled and exciting, and you have to turn other students away because that's filled?
We think they're all important,
yes,
of course. And I didn't come up with this list. Yeah. You may know this. Jim Ziegler worked with a committee of people, of business people, of people from industry, and also I believe the year was 2003. There was an extensive survey done to see what the community and what the students were interested in. But the school that filled up first was the School of Health Science, and that's actually the one that we turned students away from. We didn't have enough space for kids who want to go into the medical field.
Yes.
Which is great.
That's great.
Because that's a high need area.
Yeah.
The School of Transportation and Logistics addresses one of the highest needs in the Metroplex area, because that's right now where most of the jobs are, in logistics and transportation. However, we know that what we have to do is get our kids ready for jobs that people haven't even thought of yet.
That's right. Maybe it may not even be on this list, except in a sense.
And I've talked a lot about DeBiscay, but South Grand Prairie High School and Grand Prairie High School are equally excellent venues for our students to receive an education. The traditional high school still has a very, very solid place. You know that South Grand Prairie High School is a recognized high school.
Yes.
Quite an accomplishment for such a large, diverse, urban, suburban high school. There will still be a few what we in the past called vocational courses, career tech courses at South and at Grand Prairie High. But both high schools, all 3 high schools, are going to offer a lot more dual credit this year. We're really focusing very hard on getting our students in a position so that when they graduate from high school, they have college hours.
Yes.
And so there are a number of courses that they can take at all the high schools where they get college credit and high school credit.
This gives them a leg up in the future, doesn't
It gives them, not only does it give them a leg up academically, but it's a tremendous leg up financially.
Yes.
And I think our parents are really going to appreciate it. Of course, at our traditional high schools, we still have all the activities, the athletic and band and music and extra and co-curricular activities. There's some opportunity for our kids at DeBiscay to participate, but it's fairly limited. The students who go to DeBiscay are students who are choosing to go ahead and focus on their career and their career goals. And so we expect that that our students who have the greatest interest in maintaining their involvement in extracurricular will stay at their traditional high school.
How about my favorite? The old Winn-Dixie building. Oh,
Crosswinds.
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 And Mr. Spears, principal of the world.
Mr. Spears and his staff and Crosswinds had a really good year. And I think you were at graduation at the Air Hogs Stadium at Quick Trip Park back in May. And I believe we graduated about 104 students.
That was the most exciting thing to happen at Air Hogs.
It was great.
Oh, it was.
It was great. And those students graduated, they completed all throughout the year. And then they came back together for that ceremony. But at Crosswinds, when students complete, like we may have a student complete September the 10th.
Yes.
Or November the 3rd. So at whatever point they complete, that following Friday, the student and the student's family take a walk around the interior corridor of the building.
I loved the walk day that you had. Oh, that was exciting.
And they get to take their graduation picture down off the wall and carry it with them. And you know, you've seen those pictures on the wall. And the purpose of that is beginning with the end in mind.
Yes.
And so when students come into Crosswinds, and when they're accepted into Crosswinds, they have their picture taken in a cap and gown, and it goes on the wall so that they can see every morning or every evening when they come in what their goal is. Yes. And we think if they see themselves there in that cap and gown, they'll stay focused on graduation. And you know, some of our students are older students.
Yes.
26, 27. I believe we had one high school graduate this year in her 50s. And that's very, very exciting for us.
Yes, it is.
So we try to keep them focused. Also this year, we'll have a daycare at Crosswinds.
How wonderful.
And the daycare will be for the children of our students, and also a few spots for the children of some of our teachers there.
Your staff.
Yeah.
That is an excellent addition. Well, I just feel a real kinship for that group, because they knew that until they get that absolute certificate that they are graduates, they can't get in the military.
Right.
And I understand that you had several that have already gone to the military.
Several.
Before graduation ceremonies, they had already finished and moved into the military.
And our Crosswinds Accelerated High School is a little bit different than some others. Some districts would call that a learning center.
Yeah.
A learning center is not a Tier 1 high school. So typically the branches of the military will not take students, but that's one of the things that Mr. Spears worked really hard on, is showing the military that this is a real Tier 1 high school. It isn't just a learning center. It's a very valid high school diploma. Yes. And so the branches of the military have responded to us very well there.
That is so good.
And Grand Prairie High School has really made some tremendous progress academically. They've made double-digit gains in math and science, and those were the areas that were very low 2 years ago. You probably are aware that the valedictorian from Grand Prairie High School received a full ride scholarship to MIT.
No.
He was offered MIT and also offered Rice, and he chose MIT.
MIT? Oh, how exceptional.
And we'll have a lot of dual credit offerings at Grand Prairie High this year, so we're really excited about the changes there.
And the Grand Prairie High ROTC became a star so that they could match up with South. South had had their star status for quite some time, and now this year Grand Prairie High School has now the star, the yellow star, and that was very important to the people at Grand Prairie High School, and that was good that they both now have gained.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And they both have fabulous facilities.
Yes, they
fabulous
do.
ROTC facilities.
It's wonderful. That's one of the good things. How about your district convocation that's coming up at Nokia in a few days? Are you ready for that?
We are. Typically, we'll have convocation at the beginning of the week.
Yes.
This year we're having it on Friday at the end of the week because we think it will be a great jump start into the school year.
Yes, it will.
This year we've really narrowed our focus in the school district on what we do. And we decided early on that in Grand Prairie ISD we needed to choose the things that we think are the most important and prioritize those and focus only on those things. And we all made stop doing lists, stop doing things that are not impacting kids.
Yes.
So we have 5 plays. And the way we came up with the term 5 plays is Vince Lombardi, who was an extremely successful football coach, and I think they put his name on a trophy once, had 7 plays. So for his whole career, he only had 7 plays. And everything they did ran off of those 7 plays. And our leadership team, our principals, our assistant principals, our directors, our executive directors, our assistant soups are so good we only need 5 plays. So those 5 plays are a vertically and horizontally aligned curriculum, which you've heard me talk about before.
Yes.
Engagement, we call it the 5E model, and it's true engagement in the classroom, and we're trying desperately to not ever see the sit and get method of teaching, but the method where teachers and students are engaged in learning. We also have as our third play data-driven management. Every decision that we make, every direction that we decide to go or change we want to do, whether it's bringing something new in or throwing something old out, is based on data. It's backed up with something. The 2 other pieces are the pieces that convocation will focus mostly on, and those are our flippin' leadership, the way we lead and the way we interact with each other, and capturing kids' hearts. And you know that we believe that if you have a child's heart, you have their head, and if you don't have their heart, you don't have a right to mess with their head. So our convocation will focus primarily on capturing kids' hearts and our belief that no learning can occur without a significant relationship, and that whether we have a curriculum or not, or engagement or not, we aren't going to get any place with our kids if we are not building viable, appropriate, adult to student relationships where we hold them to high standards and we keep giving them one more chance, one more chance, one more chance.
We've talked a lot about secondary schools. Do we still have an interest in all of our elementaries and kindergarten and all of the good stuff?
You know, our elementary schools have done so very well.
Yes, they have.
22 of the 25 elementary schools are high-performing schools. They're recognized or exemplary campuses. So if a family comes to Grand Prairie and they put their children in an elementary school, the odds of those children being in a high-performing elementary school are as good as they get.
Yes.
Those 5 plays apply to our elementary schools as well. And again, we have put a great deal of emphasis on math and science at the elementary level because our kids at the secondary level can't do well without that foundation. And our elementaries are building that foundation. We are moving toward, as you know, some larger campuses, which are more cost effective.
Yes.
And part of that, the result of that will be that Lee Middle School will become an elementary school in 2010, that Fannin will become a middle school in 2010, and that Bonham will become an early education center. People talk about what to do about the dropout rate and how to get more kids to complete high school, and we focus on that at the secondary level. But what we really need to be doing is getting more young children in school at an earlier age, providing a better foundation for them at 4 years old, making sure that they are literate, sometimes in 2 languages, making sure that their basic needs are met, making sure that they develop a love for reading, a love for thinking, become fluent, develop their vocabulary. When children enter school, enter kindergarten, or come to 1st grade with a very substantial vocabulary, then they do well all the way through school. But when students come to school with a limited vocabulary, they struggle, and it's very, very difficult to catch them up. So if we can develop their fluency and their vocabulary and their social skills at age 4, we'll solve the dropout problem. It'll be 13 years down the road.
Down the road a piece.
But that's how it needs to be solved.
We have about 1 minute and a half. I'd like for you to look at your guest camera and talk to your friends and tell them that we mean business when we're working on schools. Go for it.
In Grand Prairie ISD, we have 5 plays, and we are going to do those better than anyone else in the state of Texas, because that's what our kids deserve, and that's what our community deserves. We have, without a doubt, the finest group of teachers and principals and paraprofessionals and support staff that I've ever worked with. They're dedicated. They get it about kids, and this community doesn't have anything to worry about. Our kids are going to be successful. A lot of our kids come out of very, very tough situations. About 65% of our students eat 2 free meals a day at school, and our job is to make sure they have every opportunity to be successful, to level the playing field for them, and to push every child as far as they can go, and that's our intent.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring about having a real heart for boys and girls, regardless of their age. And thank you very much for the interview today. You've been splendid.
It's my pleasure. Thanks very much.
And this is Ruthie Jackson reminding you that history is as we live and do, and that we document it correctly as possible, and we're on the road to perfection with the Grand Prairie ISD, and thank you for watching our show today. This has been a wonderful 635 History Tape interview.